It's okay, Derek. There's no way we're going to get sidetracked. I've got this list.
Yay.
This very important list. It is a list for you to read and us to do. It's because we have a review of movies that are spooky, and you will shit your pants too. Boink.
Well, we fucked it up.
All right, we fucked it up. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. 2015.
Episode 3 of The Good, the Bad, and the Bloody.
Ever since I did that last time, I feel like that's what we have to do every time.
Almost just like my name's Shooter McGavin. Pew, pew, pew.
Exactly.
Whatever.
It's like your thing. So, yeah, let's just start this thing. You know what's funny? I was talking to my one of my coworkers, and he said that he actually listened to this, and I didn't even tell him that we had this. He saw it on my Facebook, didn't even know he was one of the listeners, but he did listen to it. And he said, dude, it's so funny. And I'm like, what was the funniest part? And he said, is your laugh. And I was like, really?
Our funniest part
was
is
my
us
laugh.
laughing.
Do you think I have a weird laugh, though? I think it's really loud. It's really breathy. I go, you know? I go, ha! You know, I don't know.
It's taking my breath away. It's so funny.
I kind of giggle. We'll edit that out. But
oh, please, my cough. I'm dying. As you were saying, 2015,
yes.
Episode 3, The Good, the Bad, the Bloody. I'm Derek Brown.
I'm Cody Bowden.
In this episode, we're talking about Mama.
Mama.
Not Dada.
Not Dad. No, Dada's next week. We'll review Dada next week. This week is Mama.
Or in that parallel universe of ours, you know, that one.
That one.
Instead of Mama, it's Dada.
So Mama is the sequel that nobody asked for because it's not a sequel. So
Sweet.
yes. So we can get that out of our systems now.
Yes. Did you happen to see the description I put for our last episode?
Yes, the sequel that nobody asked for.
Heck yeah. Rest in peace, headphone users.
Yeah, we've already got, I don't even know how to explain it.
Is it a cult following?
Yes.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's one guy I work with and, like, our moms.
Yay.
Kind of.
We still love you, moms.
We love... To all the moms out there, we love you.
And all the future moms.
You know,
Gotta keep that population going. Well, maybe not for this episode, because this movie is PG-13, in case you didn't notice.
really?
Yes. Pink pants.
Yeah, when we record this, we wear almost a uniform to kind of be comfortable. I'm not wearing mine right now because I was doing stuff with someone else. But what it is it's basically a pair of sweatpants from Walmart. Hot pink sweatpants.
That say wild up the left leg.
We'll, you know what? We'll upload a photo in the description below. You can click on the link and it'll take you to it.
Oh, yes.
It'll just show you what it is, basically.
Or if you're friends with us on Facebook already, you can just go to one of our pages, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it's up there.
I don't have it on mine.
Oh, no.
I know you have it as your cover photo on Facebook.
Oh, do I?
Do you?
No, I don't. Not yet. I should have.
Not yet.
I should upload it
God.
anyway.
I mean,
or just splice it somewhere into this podcast
my mother
video.
already questions my sexuality. This is not a good thing.
Having boys late over all the time,
Boys
wearing these
night.
pants. And it was
Yeah.
terrible enough when I went to my stepmom going, there's blood on my pants.
Yeah.
Like
You
I
got
had
it
a
out, though.
period
You
or
really
something.
did get it out.
I did.
It was right in your crotch, too. Bloody crotch. Yeah, Derek just gets blood all over everything. That's why this is the good, the bad, and the bloody. Derek is I'm the good and the bad. Derek's just the bloody.
I am a bloody freaking mess.
So would you say that one of us has to encapsulate the good and one of us has to be the bad?
Not necessarily.
No.
We can both be good.
It's
And we
just
can
kind of
both be bad.
Oh, I want to be bad, Derek.
Oh. That's not good.
Just, you know what? They have no idea what I'm doing behind the mic. I could just make all kinds of noises.
Yeah.
Hope your parents aren't listening to this.
Oh, jeez.
Ugh.
Sorry, Mom. Or if we had a third judge on here,
Yeah.
and it was a girl, and she happened to be during that time of the month, she could be the bloody.
That's really bad. I can't believe you just said that.
It was gonna fester in my brain
Fuck
this entire time.
We'll keep it in.
Yes.
You just had to say it. Yep. That's fine. You know what? We almost had a guest on. Today because
was it John?
Yeah, we ended up watching it with John because he just kind of wanted to hang out. We're like, yeah, I haven't seen John in a while.
Damn it, John.
So our friend John Crane, he came over and we all watched it together. Now, John, if you don't know John Crane, he's horrified of scary movies.
My favorite kind of person.
Yeah, he always says, it's all right. It's whatever. But then whenever we actually sit down and watch it, he closes his eyes.
He's like, and then we're like, that's just the title card.
Yeah, the movie hasn't started yet, dude. It's just the credits. And he's like, Guillermo del Toro, that name is crazy.
That's such a creepy name. It's so foreign.
Halfway during the movie, he just randomly said, I'm so sweaty. I'm so sweaty. And then we said, are you scared, John? He went, yes!
I'm so scared it's making me sweat.
He just went, yes.
And this is a PG-13 horror film. Yeah. Just imagine if we pulled out a hard R for him to watch. Oh, geez.
Yeah, this is a pretty, visually, graphically, this is an extreme movie for PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty hardcore.
But as hardcore as it is for PG-13, it's such a beautiful film.
Yeah.
It's filmed so well.
Now, if you think about this, you don't have to have a rating for things that are scary, like things that jump out at you.
Yeah.
What would they even say in like the IMDb? Would they say like rated PG-13 for like jump scares?
I think it's just for scary images, like a scary flick. But since it doesn't have many swear words and it doesn't have a lot of blood, that's what keeps it from being a rated R film.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Because on the back of this box here, I'm looking at Mama right now, it actually says rated PG-13 for violence and terror, right? And disturbing images and thematic elements.
There are disturbing images.
There are, but thematic elements, would that be like the jump scares?
I think thematic has to do with themes. So I think what it is like, right? It deals with that pregnancy in the beginning, the loss of a child.
What I'm asking is, can you get away with a Thomas the Tank Engine slasher? You know what I mean?
Choo choo.
That's horrible. I just thought that was funny. But John, yeah, poor John.
Poor John. Dear John.
Dear John. Oh, Andy.
Oh, Andy.
Oh, Andy. But yeah, I feel bad for John. But you know what? He wanted to come over on his own free will.
And it's not like we dragged him here.
No.
I didn't grab the ankles. Cody did not grab the wrists.
No. But I think it would be funny if people want to know more about John, we could just have him on the show and just have him go, I fucking hated it. Just to have him.
I only watched half of the film, and what I watched was so spooky.
Yeah, when we finished watching it, he's like, I give this a 4 out of 10. And we're like, well, you had your eyes closed 6/10 of the movie.
Yeah, who knows? If he had watched the whole thing, maybe it would have been a perfect film.
For all we know.
For all we know.
But would you like to give some background on this movie that we watched?
Sure. Since I own it, I might as well.
I'm
obliged.
Oh yeah, we should talk about how the show works, right?
Yes. Just real quick, before it gets too far,
yeah,
and nobody knows.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, like, they're like, oh my god, an hour? I don't have time for that. But it's condensed as much as we can, trust me. We're trying to get to that 1 hour mark, but, it's just we've been slipping in and out, so.
Yeah, the first one I think was an hour and a half. This last one was an hour and 15. So maybe this will be the power hour. So then we'll record it in here, and then we save it to Cody's flash drive, whatever.
Yeah.
He takes it back to his house, compresses it, all scientific-like, throw in a little magic, and then he brings it back to me with a title card for people to actually look at if they do that type of thing when they listen to this.
And who knows, maybe we'll actually record ourselves talking. Just so you have something to look at. Because I realize that a lot of people say, I don't have time to sit there and listen to it for an hour. And I'm like, you're not supposed to sit down and just listen. Like, we're not in 1920. You don't turn on the radio and just go, oh, what's on the tunes today? And just sit there staring at a wall. If anything, do this when you're like
playing solitaire.
Yeah, play a video game that you don't need to listen to the soundtrack for. Maybe you are sick of listening to it and you have all the volume down. Or maybe you're drawing, right? Or something like that. Cooking food, breakfast, I don't know, something.
Drawing out some inspiration from listening to us. So it's just a bunch of big-headed guys barking about movies. Whatever your deal is, listen to this while you're doing other things. Yes. Unless you're a diehard fan. And in that case, get out and do something, you crazy guy.
Thanks, Mom.
So then I'll sit for hours and upload the video
itself uploading stuff to YouTube takes so long.
I didn't realize it would until this last one.
Yeah, which is why these shows have been scattered, like Saturday and then Sunday. We want to have these uploaded on Friday. That'll just a heads up, but that's what we're going to try to do. But for now, let's talk about the movie.
Yay.
This is one of your favorite ones.
Heck yeah. I think if I were to look on my Facebook right now, I think I put this as the #1 film of 2013.
Wow.
Which I would take back.
Really?
Which, not to say it's bad, but The Conjuring came out in the same year.
I see.
And the more I think about it, those two should have been switched.
But it's close, though?
It's really close, because I really like this one for what it is, but The Conjuring is better on a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's a rated R horror. It has to kind of go over the PG-13 sometimes, most of the times.
This is the 4th time I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I actually, what's really funny? I really did not like this movie when I first saw it. I actually kind of hated it. I thought it was stupid. It was kind of sad. The other 2 times I was like, whatever. But yeah, were you thinking about what
the first one, the Woman in Black 2 review? You said you hated it.
Did I?
Yeah.
The one in Black 2?
You said when we brought up Mama in that first one, you were I don't like it.
That's right.
And I said, fuck you.
But and I talked to Cassidy about it too, and she said she hated it too. But I'm going to tell you folks right now, if you've seen it before, which you probably have, because this was a pretty popular one, actually, give it another chance. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through this and tell you why. I'm sure, Derek, you're going to praise it, but what I did is because I saw this so much, I took little notes, just little pet peeves I thought might bother me, and they might bother you too. Now that I'm going to point them out,
and I'll try to defend them.
Yes, that sounds like a good process. All right.
So first, a background on this film. There's a 3-minute short film, a Spanish short film called Mama.
Of course.
Naturally, and it was first made by Andy and Barbara Muschietti. I'm sure that's not how you actually pronounce it, but that's as close as it's getting. That's as good as it's getting.
I mean, Guillermo del Toro is kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Guillermo.
Based on that 3-minute short film, Guillermo del Toro, best known for Pacific Rim now, the 2 Hellboy movies, the Blade movies.
I would say in this case, Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
This is what I feel like he was...
It puts it right on the front there.
Exactly, yeah. He was... Yeah, because this is the kind of movie that he would be like, down to clown,
Oh, yeah. And even though he directed all those ones really great, even Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, a lot of people say they don't like that one. I like it. I like Del Toro's visions.
Even his worst, they're still kind of good.
They still stand heads and shoulders over a lot of other shit.
Like Pacific Rim. Like, people bash on that movie, but I loved it. I walked into it knowing it was going to be a bunch of robots fighting each other.
Hell
that's exactly what I got.
It was the good kind of Transformers.
Yeah, and you got to see everything, too. It wasn't like slow-mo, like Transformers camera, where everything's flipping around. Everything just looks like a blurry mess.
Mm-hmm. What a mess.
What a mess he made on the screen.
So, in this case, he was the executive producer behind this film and let the original filmmakers of the short direct the thing.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
So it was their directorial debut.
Man.
And what a stellar debut it is.
You gotta do research like this all the time. I mean, you always do, but you know what I mean. You really dig deep.
I just do this stuff on the movies I own.
I suppose so, but should we just jump right into it?
Heck yeah.
Okay. So this movie straight up starts with it doesn't start with the credits. It starts with what is actually like 10 minutes of movie. This is the longest intro. Actually, I said that last time about the last movie we saw. But this truly is like a pretty long intro. You'd think that they just said, fuck the credits. We don't need opening credits. Just jump right into the movie. Because that's really what it's like. It's pretty crazy. Do you want to start from there, though?
It opens with a shot of a deserted car, an abandoned car right in front of this house, with the radio saying Jeffrey Desange has like shot up a bunch of fellow co-workers. Or no, a bunch of co-workers of his are dead and he's missing now, so they suspect him of involvement with this. And this takes place 5 years ago. So it's like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And then we open in on presumably his house, and it becomes certain it's his house.
Yeah.
You see this little girl, you hear this gunshot off in the distance, like downstairs, which
presumably is his wife.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and he pops in and he just looks haggard as hell, like he's been up for days.
So to make it a little clear, this businessman pretty much shot up a bunch of his coworkers.
He went postal.
He went home because of the market crash of 2008 or so. Or whatever
happened then.
Yeah, I can't even.
He lost a shit ton of money.
He just lost a lot of money. Went nuts. And then he went home, shot his wife, and now he's going to kidnap his daughters and stuff. I actually did not know that's what was happening. This is the first time I realized that that's what was going on. Because I always remember that scene where it starts with the car radio going off, but I had no idea if it was important. If it was important what they were talking about.
I didn't realize that until my third time watching it.
Yeah, so this guy's...
I just didn't pay it the fuck attention.
Yeah, so he's a murderer.
Yep.
It's pretty bad. But anyway.
And he takes his 2 kids, Victoria and Lily, and speeds off on this icy mountain road, which can only lead to disaster.
Now, this is where I started my notes. Everything else was kind of like story development. But did you notice... Actually, no. Continue with the road part. I'll tell you in a bit.
So, as he's driving along, trying to, speed, but trying to be safe at the same time, his 3-year-old daughter, Victoria, keeps going, "Daddy, where are we going?" And he's just not answering. He's in the zone, driving just, oh, Jesus, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And then she just keeps talking, and all of a sudden he just turns around and goes, "Shut up!" And he swerves because he just can't get distracted at all because he's just a haggard mess. and he ends up sliding complete 360 on the street.
He 360 no scopes.
Yeah. Right off the road, down this hill, hits a tree. And miraculously, they all survive and start walking away.
Yeah. Now that's where I start. Now, when they're walking away from the car radio is still going off. It's the same broadcast that was on earlier, where it's reporting this man that got, that went crazy and shot up all these people. So basically, what that means is during this drive down the icy road, his daughters were listening to a broadcast of their father's murders,
and yet they didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Well, of course they're not going to. They're 6.
They're 3 and 1.
But could you imagine that? Just riding down the road with your dad, and all of a sudden it's man wanted, murdered 15 people, and you're like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And your dad's sweating.
Yeah, he's just oh, jeez.
Where are we going, by the way? Nothing. Nowhere.
Hopefully they don't know him as. Hopefully they don't notice that other people call him Jeffrey by his actual name. Yeah. I was 6 before I actually noticed what my parents' real names were.
Really?
Because I just didn't care. They were mom and dad to me.
When I was a kid, I have a half brother named Brennan, and we were camping one time, and he would call my mom Juana, right? Because that's not his mom, right? It's his, it's a relation by our father. So he would go "Hey, what's up, Juana?" Because that's my mother's name. And then I thought I was gonna be really cool. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Juana?" And my mom's like, "Juana, you call me mom?" And I was like, "Yes, mom."
That's going to be really funny when my little brother grows up and he hears me calling his mom Felicia. Yeah. He's going to probably do that same thing. Oh, yeah. What's up, Felicia?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard a weirder one. I've heard instances where, kids will call their mom by their first name and their grandma mom. Because they hear really their parents call them mom.
Yeah. I used to call my grandpa Dad.
See?
But I didn't call my parents. As far as I was concerned, it was mom, dad, and other dad.
Other dad?
Without being weird.
Great. If only there was some way to say, granddad. Sorry. But these little girls, they right out of a car crash, straight out of Compton, and they're walking in the woods. And it's snowy, everything looks nice. But then they stumble upon this cabin, and the little girl asks, "What is it?" Are you kidding me? She's not that dumb. She's 6.
The dad should have turned around and said, "I don't know, it looks like a big boulder."
Yeah, I don't know. It's a boulder, man. But what is it? It's a fucking cabin.
As soon as I saw you write down notes at that part, I went, "Oh boy, this is gonna come up."
This is gonna come up. So okay,
stupid 3-year-old kid.
So they walk into, I don't know, a cabin. I hope, right? Little girl doesn't know what the hell it is though. So they walk into the cabin, and it's spooky as shit.
Oh yeah. Who knows how long that place has been abandoned?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this cabin, it doesn't look that old. Yeah. All the furniture is from the 70s, so it's not too relict.
And it doesn't look totally dilapidated in there. Mm. That's such a huge word, but I love it.
Dilapidated.
Yeah. It doesn't look quite ruined yet,
Yeah.
But amazingly, in the 5-year jump, it just becomes totally trashed.
Yeah.
So presumably, whoever lived there before didn't die there. They just left.
Yeah, but we're still in the flashback.
Yeah.
So they walk into this cabin. The father's like, I gotta keep my kids warm. So he starts breaking down furniture.
Build a fire.
Yeah. So he breaks down a bunch of chairs, throws it in a fireplace, and lights a fire, right? And his kids are like, where's mom? And
yeah, just chilling like villains, really.
Yeah.
Like occasionally going, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" And Dad's just freaking out. And we see him like go into the other room while they're just preoccupied, and he pulls out this gun and starts like pointing it at himself. Starts crying again. Yeah. So
and then he gets this idea. He's like, I gotta kill my kids first before I kill myself. We all gotta go. We're all going together,
None of us are gonna make it anyway.
Yeah.
So might as well put them out of their misery. So he comes back into the other room, sees Victoria, a little 3-year-old kid with glasses, because that's important later on.
It is.
She's like, "Why are you sad?" And he just goes, "I'm sad because Mom and Dad, and we just try our best, and sometimes the best isn't good enough." So he takes off her glasses and she just goes, "I can't see." And he says, just turn around and look outside.
Yeah. Now this is looking like Lenny
from Mice and Men.
Yeah. She's turned around. He's got a gun to the back of her head. Think of the rabbits. Think of the rabbits, George. Or whatever. And
right before he does it, all of a sudden something grabs him up.
Yeah. This flurry of like black and brown, like kind of humanoid arms just kind of pretty much snatch him and take him in the other room.
And Victoria can't tell what's going on because, of course, she can't see without her glasses. All Velma style.
Yes. And that's when they first kind of see Mama, the ghost. Which is really interesting on this note, too. How come the girls are never scared? How come whenever they look at Mama, they were never afraid? She's horrifying.
I think it's because, like...
The little girl I understand because she grew up with Mama.
Yeah, I think the older one is just because those glasses broke her or whatever, and she just can't see how horrifying it is, really, because it's all out of focus. I think the younger one, the 1-year-old, just can't tell the difference. Maybe she just thinks, oh, this is like Grandma, just old and wrinkly, whatever.
But that is pretty much how the movie starts. Right after he gets killed, their father gets killed, it cuts to the credit sequence. And the credit sequence is actually pretty cool, because it shows not only the names of like who made it and all that, of course. In the background, the slideshow that they have is actually a bunch of children's drawings showing this time lapse of like how Mama, the ghost, of course, would raise the kids and how she taught them to like fight for themselves and
kill raccoons.
Yeah, there's
eat
a lot of
cherries.
Exactly. There's a lot of drawings where like they're literally fighting woodland animals and the little girls are like on all fours like eating them,
which is great.
But they're like cute like little kid drawings, so they're like stick figures. But it's still kind of tells the story. It pretty much tells you during the 5 years that they're by themselves in the woods, they've been raised by this ghost Mama.
It's not just like this arbitrary drawing like in The Woman in Black 2.
Yeah. So pretty much 5 years. 5 years goes by. But yeah, we forgot to mention the father of the daughters, he has a brother, a twin brother.
Yes.
So this is going to be who pretty much finds out, that they're still alive out in the woods.
Mm-hmm. And over these 5 years has hired, like, just private, whatever.
Trackers. Some kind of people.
That was the word. Trackers to search wherever they might have gone. And it opens again after the credits. And to him sitting around doodling, because he's an artist, a goofy artist.
Yeah.
While he's talking to the trackers on the phone, his girlfriend is in the shitter, waiting on a pregnancy test, which turns out to be negative. She's not pregnant, and she's just super happy about it.
So now we know our two adult main characters. We have an uncle of these children who is obsessed with finding them. I mean, their body, whatever.
Obsessively dedicated.
Yeah. And then we have
to children. And then his girlfriend who just wants nothing to do with children.
Yeah. And they're both kind of in like this punk rock scene. She's actually in like a punk band or something.
She's a bassist, which is super awesome to me.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm a bassist.
I figured that. I was like, I bet Derek's really digging this,
Oh, yeah.
But, so yeah, we have these two kind of young, reckless kid kind of adults.
Late 20s, early 30s, maybe.
I don't know. They just look like they like to party. Except for the guy seems like he knows what he's doing. He's just
got a crazy girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know how they... Anyway, she goes over and she's eating cereal or whatever. She's like, hey, they're still looking for the kids, And he's like, whatever, I guess. Just getting all flirtatious and all that.
she's like, guess who's not pregnant? And he's like, guess who's still not found?
Exactly.
Just to really ruin her, like, oh yeah, kids. Mm.
And then from here it shows, it goes to the tracker scene, huh?
Yeah. We pop in on the trackers.
Yeah.
One of them's named Bernstein, which is really funny, like the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
And then his sidekick and the Bloodhound, they finally find the car.
But this is what's weird. So, it shows the guy, he's like hiring trackers, he's actively talking to some trackers now. And then it shows the trackers like going down to where the car was. But the thing is, how they find the car is so stupid. Because they're sitting down in this like little tiny circle, like clearing, and then he stands up to take a piss.
Yeah.
And then for some really weird reason, he's like, oh my gosh, 5 feet in front of me, there's the car. And it's like, wait, they didn't notice it when they were like walking to the clearing, like looking around?
They should have added in a shot to show exactly how far the car was.
I'm guessing it was very far away, and he was like, hey, take a look at that over yonder.
But it took them 5 years to find it that close.
I know, that's because it is right off the road.
I do see that was a bit of a stickler. But
I mean, come on. Even if it's
these guys are terrible.
Even if it's stupid how like they found it like it was right in front of them when they were taking a piss. How did no one else see it when it was just right off the damn road?
Yeah. That should have been another thing. Show how steep down the slope
They show out how far it is, and it's like a 30-foot high cliff. It is like bogus.
For 5 years.
It's like Bogus Basin. The road up to Bogus.
So yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know.
They get the Bloodhound on the trail with a doll of one of the girls's, and they come across that house.
Yes.
Which had a name. I couldn't place it. But this was the first time I noticed it had a name. And yeah. I've owned this film since like it came out on DVD, and I've seen it more than 4 times.
But yeah, they go into this house, and what you think is like demons running around is actually just the little girls. They've gone feral. For 5 years, they've been taught by Mama how to fight raccoons and eat like nothing but garbage.
They're walking around, and all you hear is like,
yeah,
and see like a little, and it's just kind of like Velociraptors in Jurassic Park. You're like, what the fuck?
And then like at first you think they're just gonna like run away, right? But then they end up just they end up cornering these little girls, and they're just like sitting there staring at him, kind of bobbing their head weird. And then one guy's just going, he just goes, oh my god.
And the other one's just like, we should probably call him now.
Yeah, seriously.
And so we open in after they've been rescued.
Yeah, this movie kind of jumps from scene to scene. Like, of course, moments that don't need to be shown though. Because do you really need to see a scene where they like grab the girls and like put them in an ambulance and like take them to the hospital?
If anything, they fucked up Bernstein's face, like just clawing at him when he tried grabbing him.
She just kind of slapped him,
Yeah. So they are now in this psycho kind of place.
It's
a mental institute.
It is a mental institute. They're in an evaluation room. Can I bring up the room? The room they have these girls in is so fucking creepy. It's like everything is dark.
Poorly lit.
There's no lighting. The windows are like bolted shut. And it just like looks like a terrible room to have kids or anyone in.
And they're wondering why they're just like not adapting.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I guess that's kind of the environment they grew up in. They grew up in a dilapidated house with a ghost.
Yes.
But it's just not a very
all they need is the hologram going, ooh, and spooky.
And I understand that's the movie trying to be like thematic, but at the same time, it's like, would it really look like that? If there was really a room you would hold kids like that in, would it really be so dark and gloomy? I don't think so. That's just how I felt about that, though.
At least not during the day, dang it.
Yeah.
Once the sun goes down, then it can be spooky.
So that's when the uncle of these daughters, or
named
kids...
Lucas.
Yes. He's like, oh my god, that's them, I recognize him. And he's there with his girlfriend, obviously.
Annabelle.
Yes. That's her name, yeah. And they're talking to the lead doctor in this case study, who is... what's his first name?
Gerald Dreyfus.
Yeah, so something... It's just Dr. Dreyfus.
And he looks like an older monk.
Yeah, he just looks like Monk if he was older.
Tony Shalhoub himself.
Yes. So they're like, oh my god, that's them. Can I talk to him? And the doctor's like, all right, but
sure, why not?
They've been unresponsive so far. So Lucas makes the bold move to walk into this... Basically animals. He's walking into the tiger pit.
Yeah.
So these little girls are freaky. They're running on all fours still, and they
move insanely fast.
Yeah. And he goes up to the older one and leans down and says, hey, how you doing? You're safe now. And he gives her glasses. And the little girl puts on her glasses so now she can see again. She hadn't had glasses for 5 years. Because Mama was like, no glasses for you.
I can only imagine how terrible her eyesight was.
Yeah, it must have been pretty bad. But, that's what I don't get. How do they find out how bad kids' eyesights are?
I thought about that as soon as that scene was coming up. Yeah. I was just like, wait a second.
Yeah, can you really be like, honey, can you see better now? Like, how badly do you know it is, Because they don't even know the letters that you're supposed to read off of.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, read off the first line. I don't know what that is. It's letter A. Can you watch Sesame Street?
Oh, wait.
Yeah. So this is where I think that the daughters are, the girls, I should say, not daughters, because the father's dead. The girls should be, their minds are probably blown.
Like potatoes.
Because this guy is the twin brother of their father. He looks exactly like their dad.
The only difference is that he has longer hair and he has a bit more scruff of a beard on his face.
So, of course, when the little girl, realizes, oh my gosh, it's
Daddy?
Yeah, she thinks it's her dad. And he's like, no, I'm not your dad.
He's like, ooh, ouch.
Yeah, almost kind of like...
No, your dad's a killer.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm not that crazy. But, yeah, he's like, no, I'm not your dad. I'm your Uncle Lucas. You remember me? Ho, 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 remember me? I'm Uncle Lucas. Crazy Uncle Lucas. No, he doesn't do that.
Crazy Luke. And they just get real adapted to it. And we then jump to the courtroom scene where they're talking about getting custody of these two girls, and the other person who's kind of fighting them on this is their great aunt Jean.
Yes. So obviously they both want custody. The Jean wants custody because she's related, but she thinks she can take better care of them than these two punk ass 20-year-olds, right? Because one of them's a punk rock band guy, the other one's an artist,
Yeah.
And he says, What makes you think that you can, you have the right to these girls more than me?
How many kids have you raised, Jean?
And then Jean replies with, as many as you have, which is both 0. Neither of them have any experience with kids. But, of course, he wins because he's the closest relative, right?
Yeah, and also it's because the doctor cuts them a deal, like, I don't want to send them across the country with her. Here's what I'll do for you, happy-go-lucky young couple. We have this house where we set up test studies. I don't know what kind of test studies, maybe like the real world kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, it's just MTV. Look, we have this crib.
But he's just like, as long as you decide to live here, you can have custody of the kids. And I think that's just a smashing idea.
Yeah, it's a nice house.
Hell yeah. It's better than their shitty apartment.
Of course, yeah, definitely. So, of course, everyone's kind of happy on this. Like, he found his nieces. They're going to move into this great big house. It just looks like a good deal, That's when but before they go to the house, though, of course, they show one of the doctor's interviews with the girls. And I thought it was pointlessly creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
it was poorly lit.
Yeah, like, the only part of her face you can see... Victoria, of course, the older girl, because she's the only one that can talk. The other girl has had no one's talked to her since she was 1.
Yeah, and she only knows 6 now. So
yeah, she only knows 2 words, like Victoria and Mama. That's it.
And Lily, maybe 3.
Yeah, but the lighting on this is you can't see the top of her face. All you can see is her mouth, and she's just sitting there mumbling about the ghost. It's the spooky, like the story,
telling the story of how Mama came to be or whatever.
Yeah.
And the doctor's just like, did Mama tell you that?
Yeah.
And she's like, she showed me in a dream. Which, well, I'm going to rephrase that. In most horror flicks, when you get kids that are connected to ghosts or demons, you always get that very deadpan kind of kid.
Yeah, like they're
like
here.
That. Yeah, or the one from The Ring.
Yes. Yeah.
That type of shit. I feel like in this movie, they're a bit more fully fleshed than that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, they might have their stale moments, but they're still, like, actual people, not just, I can see the ghost. And this is about as fleshed out, if not more, than Hayden Christensen Haley Joel Osment from The Sixth Sense.
And the reason they have this scene is not to tell us who Mama is, because we learn way more about her way later. But this is kind of to set up the point that the doctor is interested in who Mama is.
Yeah.
So after seeing this, you realize this guy's going to investigate as much as the parents are.
Because he thinks it's all in Victoria's head.
Yeah, but he'll find out later that's not the case.
Which is almost kind of a foil to the whole movie, is that we already know that it's real. So him trying to prove that it's not almost feels kind of like...
Yeah,
you're not going to convince us, man.
A little dumb. But we still want to see what happens to him. So they go back to the interviews and the recordings and the sessions. a lot throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. But that's the very first instance where it kind of introduces what these girls are, what they went through. But now they arrive at the house, though. They're out of the clinic. They're done with those interviews and stuff. Everything's good. They're riding in the Subaru back to this big-ass mansion. When the girls get out of the car, they're not wearing any shoes. They have no socks on or anything. Now, I don't know if that's a choice by the kids because they grew up without shoes or anything like that. Out in the wilderness, right? Mm-hmm. But if that's not the case, then everyone's a dick. They need to give these kids shoes. Really?
I saw at a later point in the film Victoria wearing Converse finally.
Yeah.
So I think it was just kind of like they just weren't used to shit being on their feet because they probably put the shoes on their feet and they're like, where are our feet? They disappeared. So they get to the house, they move in, everything's kind of peachy keen. The kids act crazy, but of course they do because they're...
Yeah, they're feral.
Whatever. Especially the little one.
Yeah, that's when you really see that the older girl, Victoria, who did learn English before she was she was still young and all that, and she could understand it. She's the most...
And she's
together.
Growing. She's getting it all back rapidly, according to Dreyfuss.
So she's fine. She's just traumatized.
She's fine within a week, it seems like.
Yeah, really. But the younger sister, she's just gone. She might as well be a raccoon, honestly. She's messed up. She's crawling around screaming. And not like a normal...
Chewing on glass and shit.
Yeah. Ugh. That's what's really weird. She is seen throughout the movie eating glass and moths.
And toilet paper.
Yes, she eats a lot of toilet paper.
There's only one point where you actually see her eat freaking food, and it's an apple.
Yeah. And when I saw that scene, I was like, finally, she's eating something that isn't moths. I think what I wrote down is... Actually, that's exactly what I wrote down. I was like, finally, she's not eating a fucking moth. Good for her. It's gross.
Yeah. And so after everything's kind of peachy keen, of course, this is a horror film, so shit goes wrong.
There's a lot of setup in this movie. They pretty much just have normal day-to-day scenes until stuff starts getting a little wild. Mm-hmm. So really, it's just showing them getting accustomed to their new house.
Which is great.
Yes. Yes, which is great.
After a while, we start experiencing some crazy stuff. Annabelle starts seeing weird stuff. And finally one night, Lucas and Annabelle decide to get down and dirty. Mm-hmm. But being a PG-13 film, we only get as far as almost taking shirts off, which bummed me out a bit. And Annabelle sees Mama or something
in the doorway.
in the mirror in the doorway reflection, and she freaks the fuck out. She's like, "Oh shit, somebody's in the house." And so Lucas thinks it's maybe the girls, so he goes over to their room, and after a bit of looking around, he sees this dark hole, like this ripping in the wall right next to the banister to the stairs. So he starts looking in at it, just kind of going, what the heck is that? And these fingers just start
creeping out like spiders coming out of a hole in the ground.
And all of a sudden just this big figure pops through, makes him flip over the fucking banister.
The railing of the stairs and
hits his head, hits his face, hits his back, and just rolls down the stairs.
Now he's falling on his stairs. He's become a slinky.
Yeah, a human fucking slinky.
Yeah.
And once he hits the bottom of the stairs, Annabelle comes running. Oh my god, what happened? And he ends up in a coma. Which John thought at first, oh my god, he just died. And I said, nope, he's half dead.
I realized we looked over some things during that. So before of course they hear the noise, right? And he goes to check it out. Before he leaves to check out the hole, if you look at Annabelle, she's holding a ball-peen hammer. Mm-hmm. Where did she get a hammer? They were about to have sex, and she's just sitting there with a fucking carpenter's hammer, just like, is everything okay out there?
Maybe she's into weird shit. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or maybe they keep the toolbox to all their maintenance things in their bathroom.
But this was the biggest cock block.
Yeah, just the
ghost
worst.
Cock block, honestly.
Yeah, he got cock blocked by the metaphysical.
Yes. But yeah, he pretty much becomes a human slinky, and he goes to the hospital. He's
comatose.
In a coma now, yeah. And then it cuts to, this is where it cuts back and forth a lot. It cuts to the pretty much the Dr. Dreyfuss. It shows that he's getting really interested in Mama. And this is when he first goes to this library that has a bunch of artifacts and old information about the town. And he's like, who is this Mama? And he's like, well...
He goes in there with the story that Victoria told him.
Yeah.
And this old woman who serves as the information key just kind of tells him, here are all these records from surrounding hospitals. Yeah. And then here's these records from this insane asylum.
Which shut down in, I think they said 1878.
So, yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, so pretty old hospital. But yeah, and this it shows his scenes are like one step at a time.
Yeah.
Really. He just started in the last scene with him. He was just hearing about Mama. In this scene, he's just beginning to research
He's
him.
researching, and then after that, he's
and
going
in the
to
sequel, he'll go to get some McDonald's. And in the third movie, he's gonna like sit down and watch some Netflix.
Yeah, and so intercut with that is Annabelle taking care of the kids, because if she doesn't and just gives up, then Lucas will never see the kids again. So she's forced to go from this never wanting to be a mother to this just forced upon mother figure.
Yeah.
Which she does not like.
No. But she's not necessarily bad at.
Yeah, she's not bad, she's just inexperienced.
Yeah, exactly. So after him being in a coma, there's really not much to that, honestly. It just kind of shows Annabelle sitting there wondering what she's going to do. Because now her, boyfriend is the, uncle of these kids.
He's Uncle Vegetable now.
He was the guy that was supposed to take care of him. She was just there for the ride. But now she's got to take care of him.
Which is a great kind of story arc to go through.
So she explains to the kids that, he's going to be away for a while.
I don't like this. You don't like me.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
I don't like you. My friend doesn't like you either. But, yeah. And then it just kind of has, I'm assuming, a normal day after that. But now it's bedtime. It's time to go to bed, right? And it shows Annabelle sitting in the kitchen playing the bass. Which, can I mention, every song in this movie is awful. I think it's terrible.
Well, that they play. Yeah. Like the band plays.
No,
not even the Jack White song in the beginning.
Yeah, I like that, because it's an actual song.
I have the CD.
Yeah, I bet you do. But
first track too, which I thought was great.
Even the score in the background during some of these scenes, it's kind of
Some of the score songs were inappropriate, but then when they were appropriate, gold.
But if we can agree on anything, her rock band sucks.
Yeah,
it's no wonder that they're like not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and fast. They are like a brick chained to a building.
Chained to a bigger building.
Chained to my dick. Anyway. Yeah, so she's playing that, and she's like, oh, it's bedtime. Goes over the TV, and this is when you see the scariest scene in the whole movie. It's Vince with the slap chop. He's like, hi, I'm Vince with slap chop. And I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I thought it was the ghost.
The little girl's just like, chop, 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 chop.
Yeah.
I thought that was adorable.
Yeah.
Demented, but adorable.
She's being
there's a particular scene that I love the shit out of.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really go in any chronological order with any other thing except for she has to take care of him. Is there's this shot where it shows both the hallway and into the room where the girls stay.
Yeah.
And the younger one, Lily, is playing around with this blanket. Underneath it, on top of it, side to side, diagonally, you can't see me kind of shit. And Annabelle's off doing laundry, whatever. You see her walking up and down the hallway, never once crossing in front of the room. And all of a sudden, you see that someone else is starting to tug on it. So you think, oh, Victoria's in there playing. Kids will be kids. All of a sudden, Victoria comes in from the hallway.
Yeah. So
and
who's
Annabelle.
in the room with Lily, right?
Who was in my room last night?
And then you realize the shadow is way bigger than a child, and it's clearly Mama playing.
Which is great. And Annabelle comes walking up the hallway, almost coming to it. Victoria goes, "Hey, Annabelle, I need you over here." So then she goes back, and then Victoria walks up the hallway, takes off her glasses, and then walks into the bedroom just as Lily's flying across the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite shots in the whole film.
I will agree that was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. It was a great shot, but it was funny to me.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff like that. Finally, at one point, she has the dream that describes how Mama came to be.
So after she sends these kids to bed, she's going to bed with all of her makeup on. Honestly, she never take. I know a lot of girls that don't take their makeup off when they go to bed, but this lady's caking it on. Seriously, she probably wakes up and goes, all right, let's see what's smeared off today. I'll just fill them in.
Well, she wasn't a punk band.
She's still in a punk band. A very, very, very bad punk band. So she has this dream where she sees Mama. Nothing too special, really. These are just kind of elements that kind of set up the theme. The whole movie is really like that, which I think was one of my beefs with the movie.
It's all set up and no payoff.
Well, I mean, it has a lot of payoff, but it's just, it's short and for a good reason.
Yep.
You know?
I'm glad it's not 2 hours long. Otherwise, I'd be like, come on now.
I know. I'm honestly, this episode is as long as the movie.
Yeah?
It's going to be. It's going to be longer, probably.
Oh, jeez.
Really, it's just character quirks.
Yeah.
Like, in the morning, consecutive morning afterward, it just shows Lily eating towels, paper towels. Like, not too much.
And then, of course, them interacting with Mama, Annabelle going, what are you doing? Yeah. And then finally sees the ghost. She starts looking into Dr. Dreyfus's stuff, which by this point, he has gone and found these infant remains that were connected to this woman who is thought to be Mama.
Yeah, and he finds these in, like, a warehouse that's like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah. Like, this shit is looked after by top men. Top men. And so he ends up going down to that house in the middle of nowhere. And he goes in the middle of the night, which is a dumbass move, by a doctor, no less. And Mama ends up killing him after a series of flash photography, which was pretty great, in my opinion.
All right.
So, before Dreyfus dies, both Lucas and Annabelle have dreams relating to Mama.
Yes.
Lucas has one where his dead brother Jeff says, "Save my girls," and he starts pointing off where he fell off, so it'll lead him to that. And after that, Lucas wakes up from his coma. But even before, between that and between he wakes up, Annabelle has a dream about how Mama came to be.
Yeah, pretty much her background.
What happens is Mama was this woman, I forget her name, I forget it every time I see it.
It's not really important.
It is not important. She's this woman in a mental institute from the late 1800s, like 1870s or 1880s. Mm-hmm. And she has a kid she has a newborn infant that is taken away from her because she is deemed mentally unkept, which is reasonable. But all of a sudden, one day, she goes crazy and kills this nun and takes her baby away.
Yeah, takes her baby back.
Yeah, takes her baby back from the nun, runs through the hills, or through the woods, on top of this hill, away from them, gets to this cliff, turns around, sees that she's fucked. So she looks down at this lake at the bottom of this cliff and just goes,
"Yep, whatever.
Gotta dive."
Straight up jumps off of the cliff with the baby.
And she hits this tree branch, which keeps the baby, as we see. Like, she hits it and then she keeps falling and you just see her empty arms. So she's kind of like, oh shit. So she dies after just kind of hemorrhaging in the water and drowns from that tree snap. And that is what causes Dr. Dreyfus to get these infant remains, is because they ended up finding the baby.
Yes.
However long afterwards, like presumably.
And they think that's why the ghost is angry.
Is that she's been looking around for her child and hasn't found it for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And finally, as Victoria said, she found us. Mm-hmm. Which is really kind of endearing. A mother's love is forever, as the title, or as the tagline on this movie says.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So, whether it's love for your child or for another child, as long as the shoe fits, I suppose. So, Annabelle ends up finding out about some of this stuff through Dreyfus's files after it's revealed that he has died, or at least gone missing.
Yes.
And she goes through all this stuff, sees all the interviews that Victoria had. This is how she reads even more details into the story. And
now she knows she's not crazy.
Yeah.
Because at first she was thinking that there was just ghosts, and the doctor was like, oh no, you're nuts. But the doctor he believed in the supernatural stuff.
After a while, yeah, he realized this stuff is for real.
Yeah. In fact, his article that he wrote about this specific case, it's almost like he wrote a novelization, like you said, of the movie that we're just watching. He's just like supernatural. He's talking about ghosts and like gateways, and it's like, what?
Silly superstition.
Yeah, so he's a doctor, his articles start out with bullshit science.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, this is real then. One thing I want to mention about when he dies is, his flashlight stops working, but Mama's sneaking up on him, and he's using his camera flash to find her.
Yeah.
If you notice, when he gets his neck snapped by her, the camera's down, and it's still taking photos. Isn't that weird?
Maybe it's an auto flash.
I would assume
it's on a timer or something.
Yeah. So Annabelle visits, the library, and she's like, oh my god, he's, where is he, right? But she's like, what, screw it. And that's when she takes the crap and she's looking at it.
She sees all this, and after this, she starts bonding a bit more with Victoria, which Lily is quick to remind her, Mama don't like you.
Yeah, Mama said no,
And this leads up to basically verbatim of the short film this is all originally based on.
Yeah.
The girls come downstairs because they sense Mama.
Yes.
In the house. They come down this spiral staircase, and Victoria's looking around for Annabelle and Mama, making sure they're not together. And Lily stands perfectly in this doorway looking at Mama, and the camera moves aside to show Mama just standing there in the middle of the room, hair flowing up all crazy, her standing all crooked and creepy. And Victoria just goes, Lily, don't look at her. She's mad. And then Lily turns around, smiles at Victoria, turns back, and Mama just... and that's like the big trailer scare, if you've seen the trailer for this flick, 2 years ago.
Yes.
Or just on YouTube dicking around. So that's like the big scare. They run back upstairs. Annabelle comes running, and Mama attacks Annabelle, to which Victoria goes, Mama, don't! You promised. So then at that, Mama gets pissed, runs after them, and by running I mean crawls in the very creepiest way you could imagine.
She looks straight
out of Del Toro's mind.
Time.
And
cool.
Just before she can close in on the girls, Jean comes back into the picture.
So much is happening at this one night. So Jean, the person who wanted the girls originally, because she didn't think the other two were fit to raise them.
She has shared custody, kind of.
Yeah, she visits them barely. But she's like, you know what, screw it. So because these girls are so beat up and they keep doing weird stuff, she is almost positive that they're being abused by Annabelle because she's a punk rocker. She doesn't care, right?
She's all against the rules, man.
So she breaks into this house at the worst night possible when Mama's attacking, right?
To get pictures.
Yeah, she's looking for evidence of child abuse, basically, so she can get custody.
Far worse is going on, believe me.
And lo and behold, she runs into Mama like out of nowhere,
And Mama sneaks in,
like kind of rises up from the ground right in front of her.
Takes her over, which is apparently a thing that can happen.
Yeah, Mama is very easily. She's very powerful. She literally just killed this person and possessed her body like immediately.
Which is a wonder why she doesn't do that to Annabelle very quickly, because all she does to Annabelle is like stab her with her ghostly fingers.
I'm assuming it's because if she did that, Annabelle would die.
Yeah,
because I think she's using these bodies as like costumes. Mm-hmm. She's not really possessing.
But she hates Annabelle.
But she did promise to
not kill her.
She promised not to kill her. And you know what?
Just weaken the shit out of her.
That means a lot, because if she did kill her, Victoria would be very upset. She wouldn't be her daughter anymore, She would hate it. So
shit, you just realized something about the movie I didn't.
Really?
God damn.
Yeah, there's no way that she's going to die. She's got the ticket.
The golden ticket.
She's got the golden ticket, not to be killed by Mama. Anyway. But yeah, so pretty much after possessing Jean, she takes the kids as Jean.
Yes.
She kidnaps these kids. And then that's when Annabelle's like, my God, I gotta find her. And this is pretty much all one big fight scene, really.
Yeah. She realizes they're going back up to the hill where Mama first jumped off and died. Uh-huh. And on her way up there, runs into fucking Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas is
in a rent-a-car.
They have no communication with each other. She's like, oh, my boyfriend, who is the father of these kids.
Yeah, they used one F-bomb in the whole movie, and it was on an answering machine, to where it's like, hey, you've reached Annabelle. Leave your message after the beep. Fuck you. Beep.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, there's your F-word pass.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was just like, God dang it.
But yeah, when they get to the cabin that's near the cliff, they find Jean, and they're like, oh my God, Jean.
Just standing all creepy.
And they put her hand on her shoulder, flip around, bam, she's dead. Yep. That's right. Dead.
And she kind of looks like if you've ever seen Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
The Nick Cage film, when the villain touches people and kills them.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because it made me think, oh, that was a worse film.
Exactly. The way she drops too is like a breakdance move.
Yeah, just
like she doesn't just like fall over ragdoll. She kind of goes woo like Michael Jackson, kind of like on tiptoes. Michael Jackson. It was just so funny to me, but at the same time spooky. So they're like, no time. They're not in the house. They're at the cliff. Let's go.
Oh shit! History's repeating itself. No. So they get to the top, and Mama's sitting there, just kind of cooing over her daughters,
walking them to the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, she's all like.
Yeah,
because she makes
yeah, she makes like Predator mixed with Wookiee noises. I can't describe it. Like,
which is just terrible. It's like someone drowning on dry land.
Yeah. Woo! A lot of her movement is based off of her death because she drowned. You know, she did hit a tree, so she's all mangled.
Yep. And she's exactly what you would imagine Del Toro to make a creature, a ghost, look like.
Yeah.
If you've seen a lot of his creature stuff, like Pan's Labyrinth would be the perfect example.
Exactly, yeah.
Which you were great to mention.
Yes.
I looked over that one.
Yeah, that was exactly what this movie has a lot of elements
stupid
like
of me.
But this is the big scene. She's going to drive these kids off the cliff and kill him.
And Annabelle and Lucas come up, kind of stop it.
Yeah, and they try.
They try so hard.
Mama's so strong. She pretty much punches this dude, Lucas, into a tree. He's
almost gives him a second coma.
Yeah, another coma. This guy is just in a coma the whole movie. He's worthless.
Yeah, this is all about the females. This is the Frozen horror flick.
Anyway. But, so, she's like, no, Annabelle, just go to bed, just sleep.
Just sleep, goddammit.
So Mama is like touching her head and making her go to bed, basically.
Yeah, like putting her head down like a dog in a piss pile.
Oh crap! We almost overlooked what they brought to the hill. They brought the baby.
Oh yes, yeah. Annabelle brings Mama's original.
This is how they think they're going to defeat Mama.
Just give her the kid, but she like. Mama at first kind of takes it just like whatever and looks at it, and all of a sudden you see her turn all
normal,
quote unquote beautiful again.
Well, like what she looked like before she all demonized.
Yeah,
she's still kind of deformed looking.
Yeah, which makes you think maybe she was I'm not gonna say the word
retarded.
Yeah, oh, dang it.
Well, no, she probably was. She had obviously deformities,
which back then meant you were ill.
Yeah, which would, even if she wasn't crazy, would drive you crazy because they treated mentally ill or retarded people like garbage.
Yes.
She was probably tortured. You know?
She was one step away from being lobotomized, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
that's how you solve things. You jam a needle up in your brain.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is the same thing that Mama used to kill that one nun. It looked like a lobotomy needle. Honestly.
Yeah, I always thought sewing needle, but that would make more sense.
It's a big
Why would you put
needle.
A sewing needle in the...
That's like a crochet needle, bro.
Thing.
But anyway, so she's like, oh, my baby. But then Lily goes, Mama. And then
that fucking little bitch.
And then Mama goes, this dead baby isn't my child anymore. Lily's my child.
And then she turns back into...
evil demon.
Our prime time movie star, Mama. Throws the fucking skeleton just off the hill, willy fucking nilly.
Yeah.
Which made me go, you know what? This is why we're talking about this in the same month as Woman in Black. Because both times they tried reuniting the ghost...
with the baby.
With a dead child or dead baby. And it fucking backfired.
It did absolutely nothing.
But which makes me think, if I ever want to get away from a ghost in real life...
kill yourself.
Or have someone kill me. You know,
or like I said, load up a shotgun full of rock salt, because ghosts apparently are weak to salt, and then just shoot the damn thing.
Yeah, just...
you can kill a ghost with a shotgun. Using Irish...
prepare to die again.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and again, and again.
So, after she's discarded her original kid, which is sad. We never even knew its name.
Yeah, that's when she's knocking out these bitches left and right and taking these girls off the cliff.
And as she's about to take them off...
she's about to do her final jump.
Annabelle reaches up and grabs Victoria by the bathrobe belt.
Literally.
Yes. Hanging on by the skin of her teeth, basically. And Victoria finally goes, Victoria, stay. No, I'm not doing that.
She's like, this is stupid. I'm going to stay. And let's go of Mama's hand. And then for some reason, Mama's like...
whatever. At least I got Lily.
She's like, Victoria never wanted to do this anyway, At least I have Lily. And then that's when
shit goes crazy.
Yeah, that's when you think, oh, she's going to save Lily too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Well, of course, at first you think that the ghost is going to be, you know, okay with her skeleton baby. Yeah. She's going to be, like, completed and go away. I would have never guessed that she was like, fuck this, baby. I'm still gonna take these 2 kids.
That's so fucked up.
So now you realize, okay, we got Victoria back. Now how are we gonna get Lily back? But it turns out,
no, you're not.
You don't. Lily says, Victoria, come on, and then Victoria says, no, Lily, Victoria, stay.
So then they just go bugger it and jump off the cliff, and Mama starts using her ghostly magic powers, bibbidi bobbidi boo, wraps up in a cocoon of her own moth-like shit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moth symbolism for some weird reason. So now Lily and Mama are in this weird ghostly cocoon hanging above the cliff, and then it just drops.
Drops faster than a fucking sack of potatoes.
Hits the same tree branch that was sticking out outside a cliff that Mama had died on previously, and the cocoon explodes into millions of little butterflies. I don't know, this part sounds so weird.
It's like Tim Burton took over the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's like, it's just so much symbolism, it hurts. It's like before she was moths and now that she's with this one girl, she has a daughter, explodes into billion butterflies.
Because it went from moths, very bad things, I guess. Ugly, decrepit things, I guess.
To butterflies.
But it's very beautiful and redeemed.
I thought for sure that she was just going to go straight into the water and just like, you don't see anything else after that. Like, they just both vanish into some weird realm. But they all they turn into butterflies? Yeah. Which begs the question, if Lily is with Mama, and Mama has to be going to hell. You know that there's hell in this universe because there's ghosts. Does that mean Lily's going to hell?
Oh, man. Or at least purgatory. Right. So it's neither good nor bad. It's just kind of
I guess they'll be there together. Whatever. Yeah. That's what she wanted.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Freaking, I know a lot of people when I went and saw this in the theater, when I was walking out, like, I was fine with that ending. Like, it was weird, but I was just like, I've seen weirder shit in the horror film. And this was 2 years ago when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out and some people behind me were like, the fuck was up with that ending?
Exactly.
But hardly anybody remembers that in the very beginning it says, once upon a time.
So
it could be a fairy tale.
Yeah. But that brings us to the point that that's how the movie ends. It ends with her blowing up to a million butterflies, and then one of the butterflies lands on their shoulder, and they're like, oh, it's Lily. Lily's one with the butterflies now, or some wacky shit. And the movie the credits roll. And this was the biggest complaint I had this movie. Right here, I said, somebody is going to jail for this. I don't care who. There's no way that's the end. They're going to jail. It's going to look like they killed them. No one's going to believe any of them. They're all going to be crazy.
That's why they stopped it there, because at least that's kind of happy.
Yeah, because it'll be like 2 months later, and like Lucas and Annabelle are in prison, and she's in like a foster home. Because that's, you know how to.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't say happily ever after. I just said the end for now. Or we can pretend that everyone believes them. They just have a happy life.
Yeah, don't you know this ghost did this? And the judge is just like, all right, case dismissed.
So stupid. All right, dude.
It's stupid when you think about it.
Yes. So, what was your favorite scene in the movie, and what was your worst?
Oh, my favorite scenes, there were 2 of them. Okay. The one was that hallway and bedroom scene, showing Annabelle and Victoria doing shit outside while Lily's like tug of war with Mama, but you don't see Mama except for the shadow on the wall.
And you don't think it's Mama at first.
And it's one long continuous shot there. I loved that. When I first saw that in theaters, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, haha, that's cute.
What was your second favorite?
My second favorite one was the trailer bait scene where they go down the stairs, see Mama, and then they're just like, don't look at her, she's mad. And then they turn around, look at her, of course, and then all of a sudden she just rapid runs along the floor.
Like kind of flies like a weird stop motion video at her, which is really cool effect. It's creepy. It's unnatural. Now, what was the thing you wish that they didn't do or could improve on? If it'll help you, I can give you mine. I'll tell you.
You might as well.
I'll tell you my favorite scene. My favorite scene was when Dr. Dreyfus was investigating the house when he gets murdered by Mama, and his flashlight goes off, and he uses this flash from his camera. For some really weird reason, I thought that was really cool. It didn't feel original.
That's definitely my number 3.
Yeah, it didn't feel original, but it was so interesting how they did it. It was just so cool. It was just, that was the right thing to do for that scene, was to have something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just spooky. It's just spooky. Made it so much more terrifying when Mama actually just slowly creeps out. It's like a really slow strobe light.
Yeah, I have a lot of favorite scenes. My only other one that I'll mention is in the beginning when they first kind of mention Mama without saying anything.
Yeah.
Was when their dad is sitting there holding the gun to his head, freaking out, whatever, and you hear little Victoria, 3 years old, go, "There's a woman outside. She's not touching the floor."
Yeah.
Which I only noticed on my second time watching it in theaters. Like, if you look at my bulletin board there, I have Mama twice movie tickets. Yeah. I went one time by myself, and then I got to bring somebody back to watch it, so I'm not the only one who thinks this is good.
Yeah.
And then on that second time, I went, whoa. That line made me go, oh shit.
Yeah. My least favorite thing was how at no point were the girls ever scared of Mama when they were growing up. I don't care how kind she would have been, because they show her being nice to the girls, and she's still very spooky and scary.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's what you grew up with, because that's what they did for 5 years. Initially, at first, it must have been terrifying.
Yeah.
There's no way.
They just skipped over that.
Yeah, they just kind of glance over the fact that how could this ghost raise these kids? She's horrifying.
See, that's why it's like a fairy tale. That's like the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
When Mowgli gets raised by wolves.
Exactly.
They don't show him freaking out about wolves and shit.
He's like, wow, wolf family. All right, I guess.
Dogs are cool.
Dogs are cool. But, I don't know, did you have anything like that? And maybe a scene that was kind of dumb?
Sometimes Annabelle was just kind of too smarmy.
Yeah, she's kind of a smartass. But, she's in a punk rock band.
Yeah. So, that comes with the territory.
I guess. So, she seems like a really cool character.
Like, especially when she deals with the cops and they're like, there was no sign of forced entry. Yeah. And she just goes, so I imagined it all, yeah. All right, go on, officer.
I'll do your job for you,
I was just like...
But, of course, she's going to have,
Yeah.
She's a punk band. She's all about breaking the law.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
Still, she's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
She's the best character.
She certainly comes around in it.
Yeah.
Which is why Lucas had to be in a coma the whole time, because otherwise she wouldn't have had the arc.
He's useless. Even if he was in the movie the whole time, as a character, he was kind of dumb. I mean, all the stuff that he figured out in his dreams, Annabelle figured out too.
At the same time, if not sooner.
Yeah.
So...
He was like, catch me up to speed, what happened? I bet in the car ride over to the cliff that she was like, you won't even believe.
I've seen shit.
Yeah, and he'll be like, oh, I just had a spooky dream. I didn't even...
Because of that whole story arc, I even wrote a paper based on this movie for my Psychology of Death and Dying class.
Interesting.
And that was the paper that basically made my teacher go, you have really good writing. And I said, well, I had a movie that I really liked to base it off of.
So this movie, it's unfortunate because I'm trying not to jump around when we talk about these movies, but this movie jumps around.
Yes.
There is literally three things that they have to jump back and forth between. They have to jump back and forth between Lucas, Annabelle and the girls, and Dr. Dreyfus, and periodically Jean. That is 4 different storylines that are in this, that all blend together, that they can't show at the same time.
Yeah.
They have to show all these elements separately and let them develop on their own.
Yep. Which...
Did you ever think about that, though?
Yeah, it jumps around a bit.
Yeah, and so I apologize to anyone listening that's like, man, why do they keep going back and forth? It's because this movie.
So if anything, if you're intrigued based off of what we've said, or if you're just a big fan of Del Toro, go and rent this movie.
Yeah,
because it's worth a rent, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I feel bad because, although I kind of crapped on a lot here with little cliff notes, there's a lot that I can't explain that is just story. That is just watching it and seeing elements in it and kind of getting used to the characters. Jumping back and forth is really makes this movie. It makes this movie because it's cool how it all ties in. But when you're trying to explain it, you just can't.
You sound kind of
nutty
professor.
So Derek, what is your rating out of 10 spooks? Mama gets.
Oh boy, I'll say 8.5.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
I was gonna give it 8 out of 10 spooks.
I was going to give it 9, but then I would have felt like I was giving it too big of a bone.
You know what? You can give it a 9.
Oh, sweet.
The only reason I'm giving it an 8 is because I don't really like the ending that much. It's a little too sad. It's
so bittersweet symphony.
Yeah, and there's really no conclusion for me because I want to see the happy family. I don't want to see a bunch of exploded butterflies. Look, it's Lily! Ah, and like a frog eats him.
Yeah. That'd be terrible.
I just don't understand.
9, because I like how beautiful this movie is.
Yeah.
Even in its dark moments, it's stunningly beautiful, which I guess Del Toro really brings his A game, even though he's just the producer, the executive producer. And it's great to see that this, even if you try and give all credibility to only him, it is a stunning debut from Mr. I forget which one he is. Andy Muschietti. Yeah, Andy Muschietti. It was a great debut from him. I can't wait to see other stuff from him.
How long has it been since this one came out?
2013.
So it's been a few years. I don't know if he's making anything.
It came out in the same month, 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. So that's interesting.
But I won't count him out completely because The Strangers guy, Ty Bertino, he made The Strangers in 2008. He didn't make his next one till just last year.
Yeah.
Mockingbird. So he's not completely out, but if he doesn't make another one, I'm going to be really sad.
Yeah. So I recommend, we both recommend watching this movie. It's unfortunate that all we really did was explain what was happening, but that's just because this movie had no points where you could just kind of pick at it. We would literally just explain the movie to you. So go give it a watch.
The other pepper on it for me, why I give it such a high rating, even though a lot of people are like, Jesus Christ, it's a fucking PG-13 ghost flick. Mm-hmm. It's Ring, but a little bit better, in my opinion. The ghost mama itself, when you actually see it like kind of lurking around in its best looks, it looks just like something that I've always had nightmares of. Mm-hmm. Like usually people see like pale stuff with very dark eyes.
Yes.
I myself always had like this reoccurring dream of this person with very, very dark skin but piercing white eyes.
Yeah.
And that always freaked me out. So when I saw Mama finally in her big glowing thing, even though it was in that last big battle thing, it was hard for me to look at her directly. So I can't watch this by myself. I tried watching it on the big screen in my living room.
It's a little spooky.
And when it did that jump scare that John jumped at,
of course, John
where she came right up behind Annabelle, that was the point where I just went, nope. You know what? I'm a grown ass man. I'm gonna admit I can't watch this by myself.
Yeah. So were those your final thoughts?
Yes.
I think my final thoughts are great ghost movie. You see the ghost the whole time, and it's still scary. Even though you see the ghost the whole time, it's still scary. Great story, jumps around a lot, hard to talk about, but worth watching.
Solid rental, or if you know,
buy it. I would say buy it. By now, it's like $10.
I think so. I think
this movie can't be more than $20.
I just bought it for one of my stepsisters. I think I only spent like $10.
I bought 13 Ghosts. Like, I bought that movie, okay? I think you could buy this fucking movie.
Well, anyway, that actually had Tony Shalhoub in it.
Yeah.
This has knockoff Tony Shalhoub.
Well, anyway, thanks for listening. Tune in next week where we're going to review The Babadook, which is a movie I guarantee you have never heard of, because I have never heard of it.
I'll give a quick synopsis on it, just to kind of tease everybody here. A lot of people are saying it was the best horror film of 2014, just this last year, and on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, it's got a 97%
Holy
rating.
Shit.
That's the highest I've ever heard of a horror film outside of the original, like Dracula, Frankenstein.
Well, hopefully it'll keep our attention so we can review it, because we've seen this movie, Mama, like 50 times. Both of us have for some weird reason. And I don't even watch horror movies, so it's just kind of hard to stay focused. But this sounds interesting.
I've seen The Babadook once. I won't give away my opinion now.
Of course not.
We have to wait until next week.
Yep.
But
so, anyway,
stay tuned, because we will be back next week, whether you like it or not.
Oh my God.